Welcome to this third and last inspirational session of the day. Let me introduce you to our speaker, Bert Van Thilborgh. Bert is a leading Trendwatcher, futurist, and innovation specialist. He is the author of the Trendsurfing Innovation on Waves of Changes, founder of the future-proofed Trendwatchers agency, and lecturer at the Thomas More Hogeschool. For the next 20 minutes, he will take you on a journey to exploring the correlation between the challenges posed by upcoming macroeconomic trends and how solutions technology can offer to solve them. Bert, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to start with a painting. I was a few years ago together with my wife at an exposition in Antwerp, and I saw this lovely painting painted by the Antwerp artist Floris van Loek. My eye was immediately drawn to this painting, and I think I can interpret this as a metaphor for what's currently going on into society and in the world. You see a man and a woman depicted as two ice cubes, and I don't hear myself, but yeah, it's better. A man and a woman depicted as two ice cubes, and they are melting down, or they're melting by the fire. Both characters are in fact sitting in an imaginary forest. Does that forest represent Mother Earth? To be honest, I don't think it's quite inviting, attractive, or even engaging. This fire and also the cubes, the ice cubes, they are symbolizing something. They are symbolizing that certainties today are melting away like snow in the sun. Today we live in a world full of uncertainties, extremely complex world, a volatile world, and today we can add even an unpredictable world. But there are a lot of incidents. The last couple of years, I think the last 5 years, we were faced with a lot of uncertainties and incidents. This we call sometimes a black swan or a wild card, which is an event happening and causing tremendous disruption. And they are in fact isolated facts, like COVID-19 was, or what we faced with this one, the war in Russia and Ukraine, or this one, what we see and today it's already finished, the war in Gaza. And also this was the incident with the blockage of the ship, the Evergreen, in the Suez Canal, and that exposed in fact the weaknesses of our supply chain system with just-in-time delivery, and it meant that we had a little logistics crisis. But all these things were incidents. Also the growing prices of energy in Europe. But today they are even very impactful, because today this means that we are not very capable in competition with other parts of the world. But to be honest, these are all incidents, and I don't want to minimize it. But in fact, we have to be more severe on the big thing, on the big picture, and that's the more what I call the structural change in society. And we can divide them in 4 different parts. First of all, we have climate change. Secondly, we have the geopolitical tension. And then, of course, we also have aging population and the growth of life expectancy. And in Europe, we are also facing another problem, which is labor shortages. Let's dive a little bit deeper into some of them. First of all, I would like to say that we live today in a liquid world. The liquid world because of the uncertainty that we are facing. And that uncertainty I have 2 examples. For example, when you know today about a lot, and you probably, all of you know a lot about artificial intelligence. But if you know that each day a new thing, a new tool, a new application is coming on the market, that is probably better than the previous one. It goes so fast today. And that's for some people it's a bit, they worry about that, but it's an element of the rapid change. It's an element of that. The other one is from a political perspective. You know, all of you know probably Donald Trump, and when he comes out of his bed, he decides something, and the other day he says something completely different. But that is what's happening today, and this is shaping our society. It's fluid, and it's liquid. And that liquidity or that fluid society can be derived into 4 different areas. First of all, the geopolitical tensions. I don't go any further into that because I think Paul Timmers told you a big story, I think the previous section, the previous thing. The second one is climate change. Climate change and the race for sustainability, to live in a more sustainable world. Our liquid world combines natural planetary evolutions and human behavior. And that drives us to global warming and, of course, resource depletion. This poses existential challenges for society. And also limitations and urgency drive us into innovation. There is one expression that says necessity is the mother of invention. And today it finds a contemporary meaning in the context of sustainability and, in fact, climate change. And I will give you two examples that we can surf on this change. We can surf on this trend in innovating on waves of change. And that first example is from science. This is Omar Yagi, and he won the Nobel Prize for chemistry. He's a professor in chemistry, and he's working in the University of Berkeley in the United States, and he created this lovely MOF. And what is a MOF? It's a metallic organic framework. And with that framework, it's possible to absorb carbon dioxide. Not only absorb it, also store it and filter it. And this is an enormous, tremendous and interesting innovation, to be honest. With that innovation, we can reduce carbon dioxide emissions. And this in one of the most polluting industries, for example steel and cement. It's possible with this innovation because of this lovely thing that he created. And this will change the world. This is a groundbreaking technology. We have to acknowledge that. This is very important. But this is only one example based on science. If you drive to another example, then that's an example of human behavior in combination with technology in a complete, total other area in the fashion industry. You know that in the fashion industry there's overproduction. We're producing more cloth than what's needed and that can be consumed. So sometimes some of these clothes remain in a store, never been touched, never been sold. But what can we do with these unsold items? And a company in the Netherlands, they created avatars. It's an Amsterdam-based company, Otrium, and they created avatars. And avatars may resemble a little bit to avatars. And what did they do? They used the clothing, and they took like photography, just on a normal thing. They were photographing it. And then they used the clothing and the clothes, and then they used 7 different AI avatars that were wearing the clothes. And they could use them to make some pictures. And in that way, they reduced costs for photography. And in this way, it was easier to sell them. And that little invention, or not invention, that little innovation had some success today. Not had, it has some success. Because the costs of photography shooting went up or were dropped with 40%. And in fact, more items that were normally not sold were sold now. So that was a big advantage. So we can see we can do something with that, with technology, with science from that perspective. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the second thing, the second liquidity of our society. And that's aging. We're living in an aging society. Normally when I give keynotes just about aging society, I speak about the demographic disruption, which causes an aging society. We have to know 2000 and the year 2025 were pivotal years in demography. In 2000, 1 on 2 Belgians is older than 50. This may surprise you. This is an aging population. In 2025, in Japan, 1 on 2 people is older than 60. So we're living in an aging society. And that's this structural thing that happens to us. We can see it even on this beautiful, beautiful world map. What happens? And do you see what happens? Europe becomes an outdated old continent with more and more people over age of 60 And not only Europe, but also other parts of the world. If we have absolute figures, in 2015, older people, let's say older than 60, were about 900 million people were older than 60. In 2050, it will be 2.2 billion, which is about 1/4 of total world population. And that is happening in society. Now the question is, what can we do about it? Can we surf on this trend? Can we find lovely innovations that help those elderly people out for the future? And this is an exciting one. This was being launched a few months ago. This is the first care-centric humanoid. It's the GR3 robot. It's described as you see on the slide, the first care humanoid. But what makes it different than other robots? Because we believe that a robot never can show any kind of human feelings. That's always that people say. A lot of scientists say that. And AI experts and robot experts, they say, oh, they will never show, and especially the people who are not, who are very pessimistic in this evolution. They think, oh, they will never show emotion. But this example shows that it's changing, that this is changing. Because you see that it has a kind of LED display, which can be a little bit, with a little bit of imagination, look like eyes. With those eyes, it can show a human-like expression and show emotional intelligence. And that's what happens today with this evolution. This is a new evolution, a new trend going on in making robots more human. They go into interaction. They can show some feelings. They can show some feelings. Happiness, for example. This is what happens today. And that robot is today, or can be used in healthcare. It can give the people, the elderly people, it can give them the pills and the medicine. It's possible. And it can even control that they take it, that they take the pills. And they do it in a nudgy way, very friendly. But imagine what we can do with this robot in other areas. For example, for students that have problems in school, difficulties of learning. We can use it probably to help them out on a very personalized way of learning and teaching. And even in other industries, for the customer service industry, sometimes you have, when you call somebody, a chatbot voice or a chatbot, and it's not very friendly. Sometimes it doesn't help you. It doesn't show any empathy. With this, it will be possible. And that's very interesting, because it's a shift in thinking, in consumer expectations. This will be groundbreaking, this technology and this evolution. Or another example, a very easy example it seems to be. Mela is a company focusing on elderly care and senior care, and they launched a personalized voice assistant, a voice companion for older people, and they engage them to conversate in real time to one another. And when you show you have some problems, or you don't feel well, or you feel lonely, you can call it. And you can just use your telephone. You don't need fancy devices. Just your own telephone. Very easy. No difficult technology skills are needed. For people of that age who are not always so tech savvy. And it provides a lot of things, like you can have questions and practical suggestions. It acts like a sounding board to support your mental engagement, and alleviate loneliness. This innovation shows what can be done, and that we can surf on waves of change, that we can find solutions. These both examples. But it's not only about an aging society, we're also getting older. And probably you know this lady. This is Jeanne Calment. Jeanne Calment is up till now world record holder with having the oldest age of a person ever lived on this planet. You can count. She became 122 years. But what happens with records, world records in sports? They're supposed to be broken from time to time. And that is happening in society. This will happen in society because we will get older. I see some young people in this room. I can assure you that your children will be aged at least 100. Your grandchildren will be aged 150. And your grandchildren probably 300. Or sometimes, in some cases, when they have enough money, maybe immortality. That will be possible. I'm pretty sure of that. And why am I sure of this statement? Because we are evolving. We are evolving. We are using AI. We are using personalized medicine. With AI, it's possible to live probably forever. That will be possible. Do we want it? That's another question. That's an ethical question. But it will be possible. It's like a disease that we will find a cure for. That's what happens. Also, when we use CRISPR-Cas, gene technology or gene modification, it will be helpful. All these things will make that we will live longer and healthier. And I can assure you that. We can even see it when we take a look at this graph. With this line graph, you can see that each month, women receive 3 months of credit, life credit on their lifeline. For men, it's only 2 months and a half. There should be a kind of equality. Feminism, we need a kind of masculism in this. This is a bad joke, but it is. But when they say the wave of feminization is ongoing, and women will have more leading roles in companies and have more stress, probably it will go back to 2 months and a half. That's what they say. But the thing is, it's longevity, which means that we will get older. And that will be like an exponential curve, not like a gradual curve, it will be exponential. And then is the thing, what can we learn in that exponential growth? For example, we can have inspiration or find inspiration with the so-called blue zones. And you know, the blue zones are the areas in the world, and there are defined 5, that the people living there, on average, they get older than other people in the world. But what can we learn from that? Because we say that, or there is an estimation that 75% of longevity is determined by the environment, by our own behavior, and 25% from the genes. But what can we learn then from the blue zones? I think a few things. Maybe we need to focus on low intensity but continuous movement. And they say that walking is good. That's the reason that I walk all the time on stage, because I need exercise, definitely. But on the other hand, it's also good to garden. Gardening is also very interesting. A plant-based diet could help as well. And having a strong sense of purpose. The Japanese have a beautiful word for that, ikigai. Wow. But it's also about downshifting stress. We need to downshift stress and ritualize relaxation. And maybe we need to build and be part of a strong social network. All these things we can find at those blue zones, and they can give us kind of inspiration. So longevity is part of a system of micro behaviors. But not only that kind of behavior, we also will need technology. And for example, in silicio medicine is a good example. It's a biotech company, and they developed an innovative drug with just using generative AI. They made an AI-designed molecule that's very good, shows some spectacular results against pulmonary fibrosis, but it has some clear properties for aging. We can get older by using this. Oh, it's fantastic. This brings me to the last one, and that's labor shortages. That's what we have. It's a structural problem. It's a structural problem. We see it in all kinds of industries. There is a lack of employees. We see it in education, also in schools. We see it in healthcare, and we see it also in all industries, in all sectors, engineering, etc. We need more hands, we need more brains. The question is, how will we surf on this wave? Because this is a tidal wave coming to us. How will we surf on that wave? How will we innovate? How will we innovate? But before I give you the answer, we need to see this. This looks like a pyramid, a population pyramid. When I was young, and that was ages ago, when I was in secondary school, I learned that the pyramid, it looks like this. What you see, for example, in Mozambique. They still call it in Belgium a pyramid, but it isn't a pyramid. It's something weird. On the top, it becomes a pyramid. But taking this into account, what does this learn us? We have to see the generation, and some of you probably are boomers, second cohort of boomers, the baby boomer. these guys are retiring. But what happens on the level floor, the younger people, we don't have enough young people to fill these gaps in, to fill it in. It's a problem. This has been a problem for 25 years, guys. This has been a problem for 25 years. But the consequences are huge. In the next coming 15 to 20 years, we have 275,000 people that are not being replaced. So the question is, what can we do to replace them? I have 4 answers. The first one is economical migration. That's a solution. Today we see already a brain drain. In the past it was a brain drain from Europe to the US. Now we see it's vice versa. Thanks to Donald. Thanks to Donald. There is a brain drain. Some lovely people with big brains and maybe help us to give prosperity to a next level, they will come to Europe. And we need to encourage that, but maybe some also from other continents. And there is a similarity, an historical similarity, because I'm an historian. In the past I learned that in the 16th century there were religious wars and there was the fall of Antwerp. And after the fall of Antwerp, that was also an incident, the fall of Antwerp, all the intelligentsia, the people with brains, they went to the north. They went to the Netherlands. Painters, engineers, artists, and they made, I would say America, but they made Holland great again. That's what they did. The question is, how will we going to organize it? That's a question, and maybe you can find the answer. The other one is, maybe we have to work a little bit longer, and I hope there is nobody from a trade union in this room, because this is not good news for them. They don't like it. But when we are getting older, we should work longer, isn't it? Probably your kids will have to work till 80, not to 65 or 67. The third one is automation. That's also an example. We will automate more and more. And this is an example of a Belgian company, Activance in Willebroek. They use robots, a kind of robots, not the robots that I showed you earlier, but they use them. And of course we will need those guys, robots, in all different areas, in healthcare, as we saw with the previous example, in hospitality, even in our homes. So more robotization. And of course AI agents. AI agents, and probably you heard about this all this day, they are the next big thing, isn't it? This is the next conference of Proximus, but they are also the next big thing. They will become your personal assistant, they will book your flights, they will book your restaurants, they will even teach your kids. I'm not necessary in the future. The AI agent will do my task. Okay, I can help the AI agent maybe to build it a bit and to help him out. We can collaborate, the human loop, do you know? This will be the major trend development for this and maybe probably the next years to come. It's time to conclude. It's about, this is too early, it's all about adapting to structural changes in society. And this brings me to the great Charles Darwin. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. And for this we need this skill. This is the skill that you will need and your kids will need, and that is adaptive intelligence. Because we need to adapt to new situations and act like a chameleon. And what is adaptive intelligence? Is the most important 21st century skill. It's about extracting energy. It's about essentialism. Make the right choices. It's about focusing. Some people can't focus. Focus on the things. Find balance, and in the end you can grow. And adaptive intelligence is looking at the world in a positive way. And I will end my presentation because progress, optimism is our moral duty, and that for 3 reasons. It motivates us because we can find solutions for the future and we act for future generations. Secondly, it inspires connection, collaboration, creativity, and innovation. And in the end, it strengthens you as an individual to give you more resilience. And even a society, it can give a society more resilience. And with that, I want to conclude. I thank you for attending my presentation. And if you want, you can download my presentation by scanning that QR code. Then you have the presentation in PDF.
Proximus Next. Tech Biz People.